Hello everybody, I welcome you on behalf of Kammerspiele München, Habibi Kiosk and DOK.fest München. I welcome you to this artist talk that I will have with a good old friend of mine, Pınar Öğrenci. My name is Tuncay Acar. I'm living in Munich and I'm a cultural entrepreneur, artist, musician, DJ, blogger, and a lot more. But the issue of this talk will be the work of Pınar Öğrenci. Pınar, welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, Tuncay.
It's a pleasure for me to welcome you here in this festival, and I'm very fond of it that you managed to get into the screening here. And your movie, Gurbet, is a home now, will be shown out of competition in DOK.fest Munich and is nominated for the Audience Award also. It is a movie about the first generation of migrant workers in Germany, migrant workers from Turkey, actually. And you are into this issue for a long period now, but your main focus is also in your art is about urban transitions in the course of migration movements, especially in the urban sectors of human life. Can you tell us more about this view, about this perspective that you focused on?
Yeah, hello again. Yeah, my work is most focused on forced displacement, migration, but forced migration. So I'm looking for the different reasons of forced displacement, such as war, state violence, urban transformation projects, or big industrial projects, or sometimes collective movements. So yeah, since 2016, especially with my forced migration to Germany, after 2015, yeah, I mostly focused on these issues.
You run or you founded a art initiative in Istanbul, Mars Istanbul, where you also had a lot of guests from all over the world, artists, and you used this artist space as a platform also to focus on this issue.
Yeah, it was my architecture office before, when I was working as an architect, but with the beginning of my art career, I transformed it to the off space, to the art initiative. So yeah, I invited artists, creators from all around the world. Also, I created some exhibitions in this space.
So this movie, actually, this documentation you made it shows very nicely the work you do and also the previous work you did, because as you said before, you have been an architect and then changed to the art scene, and now you are making art. So it's a natural progress for you, I guess. And this is what we can see in this movie, because it's also a movie about architecture, right?
Yes, actually, yeah. I studied architecture, and then I had my master's studies on architectural restoration, old buildings, restoration of old buildings. And then I started to make arts, but I was also a writer. I'm also a writer. And I have this political and activist, feminist background. I think all of these different identities of mine, they just came together in this film. Mm-hmm. And each of them has different reflections on the film.
So what was the first time, when was the first time when the phenomenon of migrant workers from Turkey first caught your attention, especially the renovation program IBA, I guess, which is a construction fair. IBA, Internationale Bauausstellung, right? So all these transformation in Kreuzberg happened in the course of this happening of a fair. Is this right?
Yeah, actually, I moved to Berlin in 2018, and I lived in Kreuzberg. And at the same time, I found a book called Open Architecture, Migration, Citizenship, and Urban Renewal of Kreuzberg by IBA 1984 and 87, written by architect and writer Esra Akcan. It's a huge research and very, very important book. And I just started to read this book. And it was so interesting because she used storytelling as a method to talk about architecture. You know, she, instead of talking about direct architectural history, she was talking about telling the stories of people, inhabitants of IBA buildings, especially from Turkey, different generations from 60s, 70s, 80s, not only guest workers, but also exiled people, political refugees who came just before or after 1980s military coup. Also Kurdish and Alevite people who just had to leave Turkey around 1990s. So yeah, it was so interesting to see all these different migrant generations and their stories. So I just started to learn where I live as a new migrant, you know, not a physical space only as a physical space, but also which community I live in. Because I'm also coming from the same country, and I just wanted to see what happened before our generation here in Germany.
So all these renovation programs like IBA, they also functioned as a vehicle to separate people from each other, right? Because actually it was the plan to get the migrants out of Kreuzberg because Kreuzberg started to become valuable. And these renovation programs were not made as a social project at the beginning, but there were certain personalities who forced this development actually into an equality project, something like that. And one of them was Heide Moldenhauer, which is also shown in this movie. She was one of the main architects of the IBA project, and she started to turn the perspectives upside down, as I understood.
Yeah, not only Heide Moldenhauer, but also there were like some other architects like Cihan Arın, Turkish architect, and as you said, Heide Moldenhauer. They tried to use the idea of participation, you know, as a tool to communicate with people who lived in these buildings. Just before the renovation, they tried to inform them about their rights. So yeah, they somehow changed the rules of IBA actually. Yeah, they collaborated with the initiatives in Kreuzberg also, you know, and there were also a huge struggle of squatters in Kreuzberg. So everything was happening at the same time. On one hand, these guest workers, migrants, you know, on the other hand, the student movement also and squatters, it was happening all at the same time. Yeah, yeah, there is so much discriminative policies part of IBA, International Bauausstellung, but also we could say that it was kind of a project who opened the discussions of participation, you know, with the help of all this activist background or sociologist background architects like Heide Moldenhauer, Cihan Arın, and the others.
So this project became also a very important place where political activists could bring their views in and do their work. And it's a very strange mixture, actually, between the inhabitants and the political activists and all the architects and the workers. Also a Turkish artist was involved who made the facade arts of some buildings.
Hanefi Yeter,
Hanefi Tekin?
Yeter. Yeah, Hanefi Yeter.
Hanefi Yeter, yes. And I think this is a very, very interesting part of urban history of Berlin, but also a very interesting part of German modern history, actually. And this is why this movie is, from my perspective, very important for us to see, also for the people who have made this experience, or the generation of my father, for example. But also it's important for the people who never had something to do with it, because I think you can see in this movie a lot of things that nobody has a clue about, actually, but it's very important for our history. You used a lot photographs in your movie.
Yeah.
And it's actually, you mix a lot of photographs from archives with video footage. So what is the history about the photographic archive you used?
Most of the color photographs were taken by Heide Moldenhauer. She was one of the architects who worked for Alt IBA. During her working process, she met with especially women women migrants living in Kreuzberg in these buildings, and she took photographs all the time. Children, mothers, houses, renovations, streets. From top sometimes the ground, and yeah, she took around like 3,000 photographs actually. And I just came across with the information of her archive by this book of Esra Akcan, Open Architecture. And then I learned that she gave all her photographic archive to the Landesarchiv, City Archive of Berlin. And yeah, I immediately contacted with them. But because of the COVID restrictions, archive was closed. But I was able to reach some of them, around like 300 of them online. So I had chance to select some images from online archive. And I also had chance to work with Kreuzberg Museum, Friedrichshain Kreuzberg Museum. And yeah, I also use their archive for IBA, especially Stern Company made black and white photographs during IBA, photographs of the streets and the buildings. Each building, almost each building they have, they recorded, they made archive. What else? Yeah, also some personal archive of Esra Akcan, architect, and Cihan Arın. For example, I used photographs taken from helicopter by Cihan Arın during his job for IBA. Also some film footages from Kreuzberg Museum.
Nice.
Yeah, there were like mix of different archival, mostly images, but also some moving images.
it's a great luck to have these archive material and the footage, right?
Yeah.
But also you managed to track down some photographs, I guess. So you found ex-inhabitants or still there living inhabitants which could tell you a bit about the story of some photographs, which is also very interesting, personal stories.
Yeah.
And you used a poetic language to tell the story and the issue, to focus on the issue. And you used the poems of Pınar Öğrenci, who is a Kreuzberg author who wrote also books about Kreuzberg, and also he was a poet. And you wrote one poem by yourself because you got inspired by the story, which is also very, very interesting, this mixture. And also you use a poetic language upon the photographs, because you found an animation artist who gave the photos kind of alive, which is also very interesting. It was, for me, it was very surprising because I didn't expect it. Yeah. And the name of the animation artist is Philip Rebosi.
Rebosi, yeah. He's living here in Berlin, Philip.
And also, you focused a lot on the special sounds, and you recorded sounds to underlay the movie with it. All-day sounds from the streets, and sounds of working machines on the street and stuff. And there was Luca Leitenberger, who made a special score for the movie.
Yeah, Luca Leitenberger. Yeah, he made a sound design for the film.
And you've also used songs of Cem Karaca, especially one song, which explains and narrates the migration movement to Germany. Es wurden Arbeiter gerufen, doch es kamen Menschen an. In German language, he sang the song. And Cem Karaca was very important, and also his generation of musicians who described the life of the migrant workers, the Turkish migrant workers who moved to Germany. That's why I found a very close bound to the movie. Now you made this movie with a very low budget, I guess.
Yeah.
How did you manage it? It was very low.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was the main idea was not making a film. Actually, I got invitation from two creators, women creators, Eylem Şengezer and Caroline Adler for the Porosestat exhibition at Kunstraum Bethanien. So initial idea was making a video work, not a film. But after all this research and readings and all these meetings with people and interviews, yeah, I just wanted to make a film because the material became so rich, and I just like to use them. And I tried to make. I did my best with this low budget. Yeah, with the help of all this. People, translator, animation maker, Philip, Ayhan Hacıfazlıoğlu, who made effects, subtitles, and Simon Luca, sound designer. Yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, the film has this poetic language, but it's a characteristic of my works in general. So I didn't want to make it just like dry and serious and classic documentary about architecture and city. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to add not only stories of people and architecture, but also the reflection of guest workers' phenomena on literature, on poetry, music. And yeah, that's why Yeah, I try to read books of Aras Ören. He was one of the first intellectuals, actually, who just came to Germany at the end of 1960s, 1969. He came to make a theater with the scholarship of Brett, actually. Also, Emine Sevgi Özdamar, she also came just, I think, around 1965, something like that. She wanted to be an actress. So most of the film, actually, most of the time I was reading books of Emine Sevgi Özdamar, great writer and actress and director, also Aras Ören books. So they all gave me the idea of the film, actually. You know, at the end of the film, for example, there are so much images with, you could see the woman looking to the mirror. And the text that I wrote for this part of the film, so much influenced by the text of stories of Emine Sevgi Özdamar, for example. Mm-hmm. And all the poems I was reading from Aras Ören.
It's very nice that you found the courage to make a movie, documentation movie out of a video project, actually. I like this idea, and I thank you that you found the courage to do that, and you got inspired by such great people like Emine Sevgi Özdamar and mm-hmm. Aras Ören. Now the time is running out. We reached the end of our talk, but I want to ask you one question. What is you as a so-called new wave migrant in Germany? Mm-hmm. It's a new wave of migrants migrating from Turkey to Germany. A lot of intellectuals, creative people, and artists. What is the impression that you have on the history of the generations of Turkish migrants in Germany who came to Germany before? And how do you experience the dialogue between your generation and the further resident Turkish generations, Turkish origin generations in Germany?
Nice question. Yeah, thank you. Actually, the answer of the question would be the main reasons of the film, to make this film, actually, because I am part of this new generation, a new wave, let's say, and my generation came with the political reasons, you know. And they are mostly coming from cities, big cities. They have very good education and language skills, and they just came to search for better life and for freedom. But former generations, they came just mostly because of the economic reasons, you know, and they just came from the villages directly to the cities, to the foreign country. And there is some sort of conflict between these two generations, actually. And my generation is some part of my generation. I cannot tell everybody, but some people accusing them being conservative, for example, or not learning German, especially for the first generations, or living in ghetto, living all together at the same time, or not integrating themselves to the German society, or supporting current Turkish regime in Turkey, something like that. And I found it very critical, actually. This is, it's not easy, or it's not good to reduce all of this migrant generation's efforts to their political consciousness, you know. I always feel like lucky as a migrant from Turkey, because we can speak Turkish everywhere in Germany, in Kreuzberg especially, you know. You can go to market in Turkish, you can speak Turkish, doctors, everything.
And that's the result of the work of all these people and all these generations before,
their
right?
struggle, their effort to make make life possible for themselves first. But if we have now some rights for migrants, it's because of their efforts, you know. In their time, you see in the film, there were no rights for education or for houses or something like that, you know. So it's kind of my responsibility, let's say, to make this film, to say thanks to former generations as an artist.
So you pay respect to these generations who spent all the effort and lived under such conditions and paid their due to make a living possible in Germany and in Europe. I thank you very much, Pınar, for the talk, and I hope that a lot of people will have the possibility to see this movie. I would be glad if you do it. Gurbet is a home now from Pınar Öğrenci in DOK.fest München. Thank you very much.